If you're looking for some of the best old-fashioned burgers and cakes in town, Lotta Burger is the place to go for all of your favorites. Lotta Burger, 2260 South 3rd, Memphis, Tennessee, 901-946-2001. They're open Monday through Saturday from 10 a.m. to 6:45 p.m. And the items on their menu include single doubles, triple burgers, Philly sandwiches, smoked sausage, beef hot dogs, grilled cheese, tenders, fries, onion rings, and more. Call-in orders must be done before 11 a.m. No calls accepted after 11 a.m. Drive-thru is available. Hungry for a burger? Lotta Burger, 2260 South 3rd, Memphis, Tennessee, 901-946-2001. Don't just settle for any burger. Get a Lotta Burger.
Are you tired of going to the doctor with the same issue over and over again and never getting any relief? Are you tired of buying all types of vitamins and supplements, hoping but not knowing for sure that they will keep you healthy? Or are you getting enough of the right kind of nutrients that your specific body needs? If you answer yes to any of these questions, you need a nutritional blood analysis. With a nutritional blood analysis, we can take one drop of blood from a prick of your finger and analyze your body's nutritional needs, nutritional deficiencies, and nutritional imbalances. This analysis can provide an early warning of possible future health challenges so you can make the changes now to avoid a negative outcome. A nutritional blood analysis can be used to monitor a health challenge before and after adopting an approach to restore health and balance. It will also allow you the ability to determine the effectiveness of various approaches to restoring and balancing your health. So don't wait. Make your appointment. Stop guessing with your health. Know what works for sure. 901-602-7063.
Big Graphic Printing, located at 890 East Range Road in Memphis, a complete print shop for all your printing needs. They do it all: color copy, resume, funeral program, rubber stamp, full color business cards, wedding and graduation invitations, and more. 30 plus years of quality work and service. They're open Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. Located at 890 East Range Road in Memphis, Tennessee, 901-345-9294. Big Graphic Printing. CJU's Appliances, located at 3530 Jackson Avenue here in Memphis, Tennessee. Call them at 901-487-7882. CJU's Appliances have the best prices in town. Sales and service, heating and air. Also the best appliances you'll find anywhere in the Mid-South. Refrigerators, microwave stoves, washers and dryers, deep freezers, dishwashers, whatever you need in used appliances. And folks will tell you they're the best used appliances anywhere you'll find. That's CJU's Appliances, 3530 Jackson Avenue. All appliances come with warranties. You can call them at 901-487-7882. Again, 901-487-7882. CJU's Appliances. C&S Motors Auto Sales, located at 2508 Southern Avenue, here in Memphis, Tennessee. Call them at 901-323-8778. C&S Motors Auto Sales has been around since 1984. Go by and see Chris today for some of the best pre-owned and used vehicles in the city. They have SUVs, minivans, cars, trucks, whatever you're looking for in pre-owned used vehicles. Hey, you can find it right there at C&S Motors Auto Sales. See Chris since 1984. They will treat you right. Call them at 901-323-8778. That's 901-323-8778. 2508 Summer Avenue, C&S Motors Auto Sales.
This is Sergeant Chris Richardson of the Tennessee Highway Patrol, here to explain the Tennessee Hands-Free Law, which is a new state law effective July 1st, 2019. In Public Chapter 412, it makes it illegal for a driver to hold a cell phone or a mobile device with any part of their body, to write, send, or read any text-based communication, to reach for a cell phone or mobile device in a manner that requires the driver to no longer be in a seated driving position or properly restrained by a seatbelt. to watch a video or a movie on a cell phone or a mobile device, and to record or broadcast video on a cell phone or a mobile device. So, can I still talk on my cell phone while driving? Yes. A driver is permitted to use an earpiece, headphone device, or device worn on a wrist to conduct a voice-based communication. The driver may use one button on a cell phone or a mobile device to initiate or terminate voice communication, and voice-based communication may also be used to send a text message. Learn more at handsfreetn.com.
Really living more than sentimental, put it in the middle of an instrumental. Every jot and tittle from a brother, pencil riddle with the scribbles of the father's riddles. Let me get a griddle. Can I cook a little with the modesty? I tell him I am not playing, boy. Jesus coming back and I am not staying, boy. You loving money ain't looking too favorable. Blood on my hands if I don't say what I say to you. Hip hop is dying and I brought the savior to her. And it's unbreakable. You better make a what you gonna take what you I never switched up, I never did that.
And welcome. We are live and in full effect on a Thursday, October the 17th edition of the show. This is Talk Back Live Sports. I am your host, Joshua Midget, in the building, in the place to be, ready to go, ready to get it. This is our Friday, as you know, here on Talk Back Live Network. Great show this morning and a great show we got lined up for you this afternoon. I appreciate y'all for listening, wherever you may be, however you may be listening. A lot of stuff to get to on this episode. And we're going to kick it right off, man. Y'all know how we usually start every single Thursday. It is my man, live from the man cave himself, Isaac Simpson, TigerSportsReport.com in the building, ready to talk some Memphis Tigers and no telling what else, man. Isaac, how you doing, brother?
Man, can't complain, man. Always excited to be here on Talk Back Live Sports, man. Every Thursday, man. Ready to go.
Yes, sir. Absolutely, man. Absolutely. So, okay, it's always something with Tiger football. I got to tell you, last week, we can't go any further without at least bringing up last week and last week's game. What do you think, just kind of watching what unfolded in Philadelphia last week?
Man, it's a tough one. I mean, and you look at how the game started off with the turnovers, there's so many mistakes. Brady White just turned the football over, and the fact that they still had a chance to win that game. I mean, if you look at the end of the game, you're excited. It feels like they got all the momentum. Everything's going their way, and you get that. I think it was 4th and 9. White under tremendous pressure gets the football off, just lost it up. I don't even know if he was trying to throw it to Magnifico. I think he was just trying to get rid of the football. Magnifico gets into space and is able to. To me, it looks like he caught the ball.
Yeah.
I think we all thought he caught the ball. And when they were reviewing it, I was sitting there saying, I was like, oh, they don't even have to review this one. He had it. I saw it and they looked at the replay. I was like, I don't see anything on there where they can overturn it. And then I saw the referee go over to Norvell, and Norvell seemed upset. I was like, man, they're about to say this is incomplete. And the referee comes out and says incomplete, man. And it's insane because if that's the catch, I think Memphis goes down there, Riley Patterson field goal away from winning that game and pulling one out, a game that you probably shouldn't have won if you looked at how the early part of that game went. And it's just tough to lose a game like that. I mean, we've seen AAC officiating. It's just been Memphis has been on the receiving end of a lot of these bad calls that have cost them in big games. I mean, you go back to the AAC championship game last year down in Orlando against UCF. I mean, that game was terribly officiated. It felt like it was one-sided for UCF. And you go back to the South Florida game here, I think a couple of years ago with the pass interference. And I mean, it's just a lot of calls. And we've seen this in AAC. It seems like Memphis has been on the wrong end of a lot of these things. And it's just tough to lose a game like that because you look at that Cotton Bowl, things like that, which still not off the table. I mean, you just have to hope Boise State drops a game and things play out and you can go out and run the table from here and win the AAC championship. It's tough to lose a game like that where you feel like you were probably in position to win it if they had made the right call there.
Yeah, I agree 100%, man. We're talking with Isaac Simpson, TigerSportsReport.com, host of TS Live, which you can catch on that website as well, man. But yeah, and you just kind of read my mind on everything, man, because when you look at the catch was, first of all, it was an outstanding effort by Magnifico to even get back to the ball. It
was, man.
Because that would combined with Brady White's arm and him getting hit at the same time. I mean, that thing was Coda, and he got under that thing. But you know, it's one of those things. It's going to live on in Memphis Tigers football infamy. That game, just because of that call, but. Heading into what's interesting, and I like what Norvell said, you know, afterwards in the week. He's like, yeah, that happened, but, you know, there were other things that could read us to be in that position.
No doubt.
You know, which is pretty obvious, especially the 4 Brady White turnovers. He was involved in every single one of them. And not to go on a rant on him again. Y'all already know the feelings as far as that is. But, you know, he's the quarterback, and now, moving forward, Gainwell, who seems to be growing in popularity nationwide, you know, and things of that nature. I saw he was on some type of a mid-season All-American list. Now Patrick Taylor is at least in practice. What does that mean going forward?
Yeah, it's going to be interesting because, like you said, Patrick Taylor going into this season, you lose Dal Henderson, you lose Tony Pollard, and we all thought Patrick Taylor was going to be that guy. And then he goes down in Ole Miss game. He's been out ever since. There's a possibility that he could play on Saturday, and if he doesn't play on Saturday, he'll definitely play next week at Tulsa. It's going to be interesting to see how they implement him back into this offense. I mean, Gainwell, I think I had big expectations coming into the season for him to back Patrick Taylor up, that he'd come in and be that change of pace guy and really kind of be that 1-2 punch, kind of like Patrick Taylor put up big numbers behind Darrell Henderson last year. I thought Gainwell would do the same thing behind Taylor, but I mean, he's come out and just took over. I mean, if he goes over 100 yards on Saturday, he breaks D'Angelo's record of 100-yard games for a freshman for the team, and I think he also will tie Henderson and a couple other guys for consecutive 100-yard games. So I mean, he's just been tremendous. I mean, we all thought he'd be that. We knew he could catch passes out of backfield, things like that, but he's shown it. I mean, he can do it all. Run between the tackles. You can catch it. He can take passes out of the backfield. I mean, he can do it all. I think he's a complete back, and it's tough, man, because you got a guy playing that well. It's going to be hard to kind of put Patrick Taylor back in there and get him a lot of carries, like it's basically like what they thought it would be for him going to the season. So it's going to be interesting to see how this coaching staff handles that. So we'll see. I think that there's a chance that he plays on Saturday. I think they'll bring him in slowly if he does. But I think if he doesn't play on Saturday, he'll definitely play next week at Tulsa. So that's definitely going to be something to watch because, I mean, I don't think you need to take any snaps away from Gainwell, especially now that he's proved that he can run between the tackles as well as catch passes out of the backfield.
Yeah, I agree, man. I mean, you don't want to want to kill his vibe, so to speak. I mean, the guy's on this type of role, and all this, and then.
And I was going to say, even Keelan Watkins has come in and played really well at times. So, man, and I think, and one thing that I think you positive that you can take out of this is that now that you got Patrick Taylor back, if he's healthy, man, you got a 3-headed monster. You got 3 guys you can really put in there, and Gainwell and Watkins have got a lot of experience. that they probably wouldn't have had if Taylor had been there. So I think it makes the team better overall. But, again, it is going to be interesting to see at the top between Gainwell and Taylor how they handle that.
Absolutely, man. And shout out to the guy here, man, say he hates live feeds. Horrible. Well, just appreciate you still watching for some reason. Go ahead and get off if you got a problem with it. But as we continue, the Tigers have Tulane this week. How are we feeling about that? Because one thing we know is when it comes to the Memphis football team and mobile quarterbacks, it's never a good situation. And this is a Tulane team. The program is getting better. Talk about that. What's this matchup going to be like?
Yeah, man, Willie Fritz has done a really good job with the Green Wave. I mean, you could see it starting even 2 years ago, and really last year, you could see the improvements that they made, and they come into this year. I knew they were going to be a good team. I even probably surpassed that. But again, you talked about Memphis struggling with mobile quarterbacks. That's something that's gone back several years. I mean, for some reason, they always seem to have a problem with these guys, and they really put it on Memphis last year. Memphis went into that game a big favorite, and they got punched in the mouth early and were never able to recover. And you looked at McMillan, quarterback Justin McMillan for Tulane. I mean, he's already ran for 364 yards and 4 touchdowns. He's thrown for 8 more and thrown for over 1,000 yards. He's a beast, man. And that's something this defense really going to have to get control of. You want to keep him in the pocket. The thing about it is he can throw deep, too, as well. I mean, he's not just a runner. He can do both. But I think to him, I think it's better to keep him inside the pocket. And this Tulane team, is rushing for 288 yards overall. I mean, you talk about Memphis being a good rushing team. Memphis is only rushing for 200 a game. Tulane's rushing for 288. So that lets you know how well they run the football from the quarterback position and even with their 2 running backs, Dolphine and Bradwell. So Memphis, this is going to be paramount in this game. They got to stop them from running the football, because if you let them get outside the pocket, he can really hurt you. So try to keep him inside the pocket and try to slow down these running backs. I think offensively, I think this could be a shootout. I mean, both of these teams are Memphis averaging 37.8, Tulane 39.2. So both of these teams could put points on the board. This is going to be another game where I said the same thing against Navy, and I said it against Temple, where if they're going to win this game, they're going to have to. Brady White's going to have to make some plays with his own, because Tulane is really tough against the run. So I mean, you're not going to be able to line up, I think, and just run. When you got guys like Gainwell, they're going to get theirs, but at some point you got to make some plays down the field. And this is another game with Brady White. Looked terrible in the first half. Kind of made some plays in the second half, but again, I think this is another game, kind of what we talked about last week, where they're going to need a complete game. I think Tulane's better than Temple, and you saw how much trouble Temple gave Memphis last week. I think the positive about this one is they're at home, so Memphis usually plays better at home. But again, Brady White, man, just going to have to be. He's not going to be able to turn the football over 4 times. Amazing that Memphis was still in the game after turning the ball over 4 times, but you're not going to be. That's not going to happen much. Usually, if you turn the ball over 4 times, you're going to get blown out. So that's not going to be something that you want to continue. But he's going to have to make some plays downfield and have to hold on to the football. I think it's going to be at the Liberty Bowl for Memphis, because this Temple team, I keep saying Temple, this Tulane team's coming in here, and I mean, they're confident. And if you look at kind of the rankings, they're out of Memphis. They smell blood. If Memphis loses this one, I think that really a chance of possibly getting to the AAC championship game for a 3rd straight year.
I agree, man. This is a really big game, and you can tell by the amount of pub as far as social media, and even Mike Norvell himself going out and saying, we need the fans to show up, for this game.
Yeah.
At the Liberty Bowl, to come out and be supportive and loud, and when you see stuff like that, I mean, of course that's what you want to do, but the added sense of urgency, you can tell that this is really, really important for the Tigers to win. And I don't blame them for having the sense of urgency. This is huge for Norvell, to finally try to accomplish something. Because can you imagine for Norvell, as much praise as he gets, there's still these things, the big game against big teams.
Yeah,
hasn't really won one. He won a bowl game. He's been to the AAC title game 2 straight years, but has lost, arguably, because of certain coaching decisions. So all that being said, I know he's kind of trying to get over the hump here. And that's why I think, well, do you think that contributes to why he kind of so urgent with getting it figured out here?
Yeah, it is interesting. You kind of brought up a great point where all the praise he gets, but you look back over his tenure here, and they don't usually win the big games. They like I said, they go into the AAC championship game, lost all those, haven't won a bowl game. So even though you see him do some great things in season, and he's been able to get to the AAC championship game, they haven't had success when it comes to these big games. And this is a big spot. I mean, Saturday night, 6 p.m. It's on. I don't know if it's ESPN2, but this is a big spot for them, especially after the way that game went down last week. The players they're chomping at the bit to get back out there after they feel like they were slighted last week, which I agree with.
Yeah.
I think they're excited to get back. I don't know if there was I can't remember who that was. Maybe TJ Carter that said after the game, we'll see what we got next week and how we come back and bounce back from this. So I think the players are going to be ready. But again, it's a big game for Mike Norvell and his staff to kind of prove that they can win a big game, especially because Memphis had a lot of spotlight this week because of how that game ended. So I think a lot of people are going to be watching this one to see kind of how they bounce back and can they bounce back, because I don't think the Cotton Bowl and all that stuff, I know losing that game kind of puts a damper on that, but I don't think it's over with at all. I mean, I look at Boise State's schedule, and even though they're ranked where they're ranked, I don't think they're that good. They got some tough games in conference up on the road. I think they're going to drop one. And if you look at the Mountain West versus AAC, I mean, there's not even any comparison.
No.
I think there's even a shot that even if Memphis has one loss and they go undefeated there, I think Memphis, they win the AAC championship game, to still get that slot. So all of that stuff is still in front of them. But again, some tough games at home. They got Tulane, Tulsa next week. It's not the gimme that it looked like it was early season. Still got SMU coming in here. Got to go to Houston and Cincinnati. So it's going to be a tough finish. But I think if Memphis can finish this out, run the table, get in that AAC championship game, and hopefully have it here for the first time and win that, I think they still have a shot at the Cotton Bowl. But again, man, none of that can be talked about before you get the W on Saturday. And it's going to be a big one. And I think, again, a big one for this coaching staff to prove that they can bounce back and win big games.
Yeah, I agree 100%, man. We're talking with Isaac Simpson, TigerSportsReport.com, which is a Rivals affiliate locally and co-host of TSR Live, which is the Tiger Sports Report Live podcast y'all can check out. And I'm definitely going to let you go, man. I know you're going to have to run. But last thing I'm going to say, it's like I said, it's going to be real interesting to see what happens this week. And when you brought up TJ Carter, I feel like he had one of his best games I've seen in a while last week.
Yeah, he did really play well.
He shut down the guy that was killing Jacoby Francis, I believe it was. The big receiver for Temple. But he did a great job, had some big plays in certain stretches. Hopefully that's a sign that, we could see that guy that, came in as a freshman and kind of lit the world on fire as a defensive back. So we'll see, man. But Isaac, man, tell the people where they can follow you and check out your stuff.
Yeah, man, and real quick, man, and talk about that secondary.
Yeah.
Chris Claypool came back last week. He really wasn't fully implemented. I heard that they kind of had to limit his stats. Hopefully he can get more play time this week. And also John Broussard, cornerback trainer, is going to make his debut for the Tigers on Saturday. So they can for this secondary. So that's going to be something to watch as well, because the secondary, it's a couple of years just been inconsistent. You see at times where these guys make good plays. Jacoby Francis was just getting toasted earlier in that game, and then other times he played. So they just need to see the consistency. Hopefully Clay Brooks and Broussard can help, especially against teams like Tulane, because they're going to throw the ball around. They're going to run. They do it on both sides. I mean, they run and throw the ball. So the secondary will definitely get tested, but it's going to be good to see Clay Brooks and Broussard back there, because John Broussard is a really talented guy. I mean, a guy that Auburn recruited, he's going to come in with some talent. So hopefully he can help this secondary. But, man, definitely, man, you can on Twitter at Isaac_Rivals, ISAAC _Rivals. Man, we got the pregame show coming live from the Liberty Bowl on Saturday. I think they'll drop off about 3:30 p.m. to go early. So make sure you check that out. You follow me on Twitter with the live link. I'll put that out on Saturday. But other than that, man, I appreciate you having me on, man. I'll talk to you next week.
Definitely, brother, definitely. And shout out to the Cowboys with the 3-game losing streak. I had to go and get that in there real quick,
Yeah, man. I don't even know. I don't even know what to say about what's going on there, man. Jason Garrett got to go, man. That's all I got to say on that.
All right, man. Well, hey, we'll talk about it next week after it's 4. You know what I'm saying? But appreciate you, brother.
Man, yes, sir, man. Talk to you next week.
Okay, man. All right, that's Isaac Simpson, TigerSportsReport.com, and Cowboys fan, unfortunately, joining in with me on this show. So, man, we talked about a lot of things, man, and had a little time if y'all want to call in. The number is there, 901-213-6020. Once again, 901-213-6020, talking Tigers football, at least for the next couple more minutes before I transition into some other things. But, you know, Isaac brought up some things, and so some of y'all in the comments brought up some things. Let me read this real quick. Greg says, I have several things to say. He says, I'm just going to say that the backups must really suck. I'm not understanding how a quarterback that has zero mobility, zero escapability, zero 40-yard downfield throwing ability, has been tasked to run an RPO offense. And I think that's a good point. You know, and RPO is the run-pass option. For those that may not know. And he does a lot of, the handoff, whether you decide whether you run or the running back runs. And I don't understand why, just like what Greg said, why you would have a quarterback. It's not a knock on Brady per se, but it just is what it is. He is what he is. And I feel like Norvell is not utilizing him to his strengths, to be honest with you. You put a quarterback that's not mobile in a position where he has to constantly choose between running and throwing all the time. And then you put the opposing defense that you're facing. They know he's not going to run 9 times out of 10 or 10 times out of 10, to be honest with you. That ball's going to Gainwell. That doesn't help Kenny Gainwell. That doesn't even help the receivers or anybody else. He knows that he's not a dual threat quarterback. And it just ruins your whole offense, to be honest with you. Which is why, not to go back on this too much, back in the day, I felt like David Moore would have been interesting to see at this position because he was an athletic quarterback that can run and had proven that he can throw the football as well. And for those that don't agree, remember, it took Mike Norvell up until just about a week, before the season to choose between Brady White and David Moore. For those that say he was a terrible quarterback, why did it take Norvell all summer, all the way up to the season, to decide between those two? Even he himself said it was a thin line between the choice of those two players. So it is what it is, man. Not a knock on Brady, but that's just who he is. And I think he's been put in a lot of bad positions by Coach Norvell. So hopefully we'll see what happens. He did bounce back in the second half decently to help with the. But he's going to have to play well again here against Tulane because this game is huge for the Memphis Tigers football team and their aspirations going forward. And the point that I brought up as well, this is huge for Norvell. As much as it's a big love fest for Norvell, he's done a great job recruiting. He's done a great job being the face of the Tigers, personality-wise, getting out in the community, all of that stuff. But on the field, in certain situations, he has not proven himself yet. In big games, the Tigers have not won one big game under Norvell. And those of you want to say, well, you remember the Josh Rosen-led UCLA team that came into the Liberty Bowl. That was Norvell that beat them with Riley Ferguson and Anthony Miller. Yes, it was. And that UCLA team, I think they were ranked. They were barely in the top 25. But let me tell you something. As the season proved out about that UCLA team, they were not nearly as good as everybody thought. They barely made it to a bowl game. So as much as I love that win because it was exciting, you have to take that. I can't count that as a big win. Other than the name of the school, UCLA was not the UCLA, that people remember. that year. So other than that, the 2 AAC title games is great to get there, but at a certain point you want to win. And I truly believe in those 2 AAC title games, my poor decision making in the wrong time cost the Tigers 2, not 1, but 2 AAC titles. And let's think back. The first year, the talent that he had, and even last year, even with Brady White at quarterback, the talent that was on those 2 teams was the stuff of legend. Let's go back to the first year when it was Mike Norvell versus Scott Frost to ask for, and they still couldn't get it done. And that was a great UCF team. Don't get me wrong. It was a UCF team that went and beat Auburn. But Memphis was right there. And I'm just saying, you got the big game. You just have to. I see Jeremy V. Brooks says Brady has to play great all 4 quarters. I agree. Because when you look at Brady White, that's been the trouble. You go back to the Navy game. That first half, Brady White was all-time terrible in that first half, to the point where you guys and Tiger Nation booed him in his own stadium in front of his mama. And he came back in the second half and played lights out. Then comes last week's game. I think he probably played worse against Temple in the first half. 4 turnovers. With the interception, which was all-time bad, and the 2 fumbles. So, we need consistency from all sides of the field, to be honest with you. Not just Brady, even though he plays the most important position on the field, but the defense as well. Adam Fuller's defense is improved from the lack of a defense that we had last year. But that's not saying too much. These guys are talented. Austin Hall, TJ Carter, the guy Isaac Simpson was talking about, some more guys that are coming back from injury. It's a talented defense, but they just need to play like it all the time. And with a team like Temple coming into the Liberty Bowl, not Temple, but Tulane, that is, with the T, Tulane coming into the Liberty Bowl, you got to step up, got to play big. So y'all let me know what you think. Let's see. GKP in the building. What's happening, man? GKP says, bah humbug. Greg says, UCLA definitely did not live up to their preseason hype that year. No, not at all. Yeah, I know. GKP says, whoa, whoa, whoa. Which is one of Bob's catchphrases right there. Better than Isaac Bruce is a big statement now. I don't know about that. I think so. I love Isaac Bruce. I mean, he was, I say love, but he was one of the guys that put the stake through the heart of my Tennessee Titans in the Super Bowl. If you remember, him and Torrey Holt, greatest show on turf, was the team that beat the Titans in the Super Bowl that year. But, and Kurt Warner and Marshall Faulk and all those guys. But, hey, I think Anthony Miller's that great. And I think you would see how great he is with the Chicago Bears if it wasn't for the fact that Mitchell Trubisky refused to throw the ball his way for some reason. I don't know, man. But, that is what it is. Anthony Miller, if you want to come to the Titans, well, right now, I don't know if I would blame you if you didn't. This coming from a Titans fan. But, hey, we still can use another receiver. Help my boy Tannehill out in Nashville. But, yeah, man, so I'm going to go ahead and switch gears here. And I want to get to some NBA. I want to show you guys something here. Before I get to this video that I want to play, I want to look at this. Let's look at this. That is a tweet from LeBron James. As you can see there, at King James on Twitter. And this was, last year in January. And his tweet, if you can't see it, if you're listening on Spreaker, I'll read it. Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. Our lives begin to end the day we become silent about things that matter. Now, y'all see that, and you may think, oh, okay, I think I see what direction Josh is going in. No, you don't. But I am talking about what you think I may be talking about, and that is the Chinese situation with the NBA. So let's really dig into something here. So, as I type this in on my phone, so y'all know what's been going on with the NBA in China. As I talked about with Dominic Lawson a little bit earlier in the week, with LeBron and the statements that he made in regards to the NBA in China. And I'm going to play that clip. I have the video here as well. And I want y'all to give me your thoughts on that. But it's quite the situation. So we all know it started with Daryl Morey, who is the general manager of the Houston Rockets. Came out and had his tweet that he did about Hong Kong. Said what he said. And that caused the controversy that we now see, in the league and all this stuff about whether you step out and say something when wrong is being done. Now, we got people in Hong Kong that are fighting for freedom down there. They're fighting to be free. It's a communist nation, as you know, about all this going on in China. And a lot of people are looking at the NBA and saying, hey, you guys in the NBA, y'all should stand up and say something about what's going on in China. You are the representatives who are from this country, the land of the free of America, and y'all should go over there and say something about what's going on in Hong Kong. Just like Daryl Morey did. That Daryl Morey didn't care about the consequences because, Ming, who was a great player for Houston, basically created a bridge between China and Houston. Houston's the most popular team in China because of the Yao Ming connection, who's still very influential in China when it comes to basketball and the NBA relations and everything else. And how Daryl Morey stepped up to the plate, so to speak, and spoke out on something that he saw. Even though Daryl Morey deleted the message at the same time.
Call from Vincent.
All right, well, we're going to get back on that in a second. But right now, let's go to Vincent on the lines. We stopped for the call. What's up, Vincent, man?
Hey, good afternoon, Josh. How you doing?
Doing great, sir. How do you do?
Pretty good. I didn't want to disrupt your train of thought right there. What were y'all talking about? I just called in. I just got on the phone. I wasn't listening beforehand. I had some business to take care of, but
yes, sir.
I had you as a priority to call in today. So what were you talking about?
Well, we talked a little about Tiger football, but then right now we're on the whole LeBron and China situation, which is kind of turned into like a whole political thing over there. Well, LeBron is saying, hey, look, we need to be smarter than this with how we speak in reference to Houston's general manager with the tweet that he made and all that stuff. But what do you think about the whole situation? Do you think NBA players should be out there making statements about China in this situation?
I don't think that's a wise thing. And furthermore, my cousin Ian Clark is playing in China this year.
Oh, really? Okay.
So,
wow.
Yeah, he
that's
is.
Perfect.
He had an opportunity to play here in the States for a veteran's minimum contract, but he ended up taking a deal that was I don't know if it's been disclosed publicly or not, but it's a tax-free deal, which means the team that's paying him will pay the taxes. Okay. So that made it more profitable to go over there and play. Plus, they only play about 25 games in the season, then they do the playoffs. So he probably would play, let's say, even if he won the championship, the most games he'll play probably about 35 games.
Wow.
And so then he's planning at that time, which would be the end of March, if a team need an extra shooter or somebody to fill out a playoff roster to come back and, do that could very easily happen. So that's a kind of a smart business move, preserves the physical body for a year. you know, and then you make the same amount of money you would have made, you know. But I think that they need to be careful about the dynamics, trying to develop a relationship. You know, with China being the largest number of, as far as population is concerned, you could affect sales, paraphernalia sales, you know, NBA live subscriptions if it's allowed over there, whatever. You know, it's just a good business move not to do that.
Yeah. See, that's my thing, and I think that's what LeBron was saying when he came out and spoke. He's like, hey, look, you know, I get it, you know, but I think we need to be smarter. He was referencing Daryl Morey with Houston. You know, it's like, hey, man, look, you know, all these connections we got, you know. He even talked about how business deals were reportedly messed up between certain players and China because of this. But now on the other end, you got people saying, hey, look, you need to speak out on injustice. And people are kind of shaming LeBron for coming out and doing this because LeBron's been pretty vocal on other things of social issues that they think he should be vocal here too. But what do you think if you're still there?
Yeah, well, I agree. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you now. Yeah.
Yeah, well, let me say this. I agree with LeBron on this in this one instance. What I was going to talk about a couple of things. Tigers football.
Okay.
In your mind, this year, what is a successful season for Tiger football?
Man, that's a good question.
I like those political. You answer like a politician, man. Yeah. I know it's a good question. That's why I asked you to answer it.
But you know what? Because here's what I'm seeing from people is that a lot of people want to get to this New Year's Six Bowl. And look, that would be great. Don't get me wrong. But I don't know if that should be the benchmark. Like, if we don't get there, that's a failed season. I don't know if it's fair to do that. But I will say this. I think they should make it to the AAC championship game.
Okay, well, now, let me ask you this. A coach is supposed to move the team forward, right?
Yeah, that's true.
If we go to the AAC championship, the last two championship games that have been played, we were leading at the half and lost in the second half.
That's true.
Their coaches made an adjustment and ours didn't. And they actually had two different coaches. One beat us, Scott, whatever his name was, Frost beat us the first year.
Yep. And
Josh Heifel, whatever his name is, beat us the second year. They made adjustments at halftime and came back and won. Of course, we could blame one of those games on Riley Patterson, but you know, it's that's easy to do that. That doesn't take a man to really do that. But I was going to say, by anything less than at least winning a bowl game, because Mel has lost 3 straight bowl games.
That's right.
Justin Fuente lost the last one he coached, and we haven't won a bowl game. We've gone like what, 2 out of in the last 5 bowl games that we've played, or let's say between all the bowl games that Justin Fuente coached and Mike Norvell, I think it was 6.
Yeah.
Maybe no, I'm sorry, that's 5.
Yeah.
We've won 1 bowl game.
1 out of 5, and you know,
and some of those bowl games, you know, we were like at the end of the year, 6-6. Did we? What was our record last year? Well, we had a running record, but I'm saying we have not really beaten a quality team in postseason yet.
I agree 100%. And
then you know what that's equivalent to?
Who?
That's equivalent to not beating a team in the NCAA tournament.
That's exact. Man, look, you hit the nail. And it's funny you said that because before I got into the NBA thing, because you literally called right when I was getting into the NBA thing, but right before that, I was talking about just what you're talking about. And I brought up the fact that Norvell we're on the same wavelength with that Norvell hasn't won any big games. None. You know, if you want to say Ole Miss wasn't ranked and they're not expected to be that good. You know, people bring up UCLA. As I said earlier, UCLA was overrated when they came into the Liberty Bowl and Memphis beat them. They barely made it to a bowl game. You know, let's go back. We have to go back to the BYU fight. We have to go back to the fight against BYU after the game. That game, which was a classic, by the way. But none.
Oh yeah, that was an awesome game. I mean, that kick by that kick by what's the guy's name?
Elliott.
Yeah, that was one of the most phenomenal college kicks I've ever seen.
Yes.
Under pressure at that distance, 55 yards, you down 3. You know, and what I'm going to say now, a lot of people might not like this.
Mm-hmm.
I probably have some enemies already. I'm probably getting ready to double them, but I almost at the beginning equate Mike Norvell with Josh Pastner.
You know what?
And the reason I'm saying that is because when you look at the accomplishments on the field, you winning in the regular season against the lower tier teams,
mm-hmm.
but you playing tougher teams and you lose. Teams make second half adjustments and come back and beat you, and you haven't won a bowl game in 3 years, and the 2 championship games. It's great to make to the championship. There was a lot of exposure, but you got exposed in the second half, and that's not too far off of what Josh Pastner was doing. He was winning the lower level teams,
mm-hmm.
but when it came down to the conference tournament, you know, he disappeared. When they went to the NCAA,
yep.
They won one game and disappeared, or lost in the first round, disappeared, or whatever. Didn't go to 2 consecutive postseasons the last 2 years. That's not that much difference if you just put it on paper and compare it.
That's very true, and I'm gonna tell you something.
But the perception of Mike Norvell is he's a good up and coming young coach.
Well, you know why that is.
You know,
and not to interrupt you, but you know why that is, though. It's because it's Memphis football, and in Memphis, you know, we love Memphis football to a degree. You know, I don't think it's anywhere close to Tiger basketball, even with the improvement Tiger football has made. Hence, all you got to do is look at the Liberty Bowl Stadium. Even though it's a lot better than it used to be, it's still tough, even if you're playing a ranked opponent, to get a sellout in that building sometimes. But all that being said, I agree, but I think the reason why he's not getting that amount of pressure that Josh did is because Tiger football isn't used to success. And we love this. I think Tiger fans think this is the top right now, you know?
Well, we got ranked, but we got ranked in the top 25 and fell out the next week, even though we lost to a good team with Tempest 5-1 mm-hmm. on the road with a questionable play. Mm-hmm. You know, so the national respect is not really there because, I mean, you're supposed to lose on the road to a quality team.
True. And
you keep it close or whatever. That's normally respectable, but we lost and got knocked out of the top 25, you know. And I remember when Josh was there, our basketball team, the times that we did get in the top 25, it would be toward the lower bottom. We may stay there for a week or so, and then we lose and get knocked out. The same thing. I don't see that much difference. But like you said, the history of Memphis football makes it where it's more appreciative that we have what we have now.
Absolutely.
And we just all need to just shut up and be quiet, you know.
Because the thing is, with Josh, you know, at this point, you know, it may be a little bit later, but later in Josh's tenure, because, you know, Norvell's not near the point as Josh was here a long time. And Tiger fans were ready to chase after him, you know, with pitchforks and torches toward the end there. I don't think it'll ever get to that point with Norvell unless it gets worse, unless they start regressing, you know.
Well, you know, I'm not a Josh Pastner supporter. I'm a Memphis Tiger supporter.
Yeah.
Whoever the coach is, I'm going to support him. But when you think about where we were when the day John Calipari left out of that door and left us with a part of a team, mm-hmm. the fact that he kept us relevant for 3 or 4 years says a whole lot.
I mean,
you know, a lot of people just overlook that fact because of how it ended. But, I mean, we had Wesley Weatherspoon, Will Coleman, Willie Kemp, and Robert Saleh, and mm-hmm. some thumbtacks, a couple of paper clips, and a deflated basketball, man.
That's
you know, that's what we had when Calipari left. You know, and a couple of walk-ons. So, I mean, to take the team that we had, to patch up a team, bring in a DJ Steffens and a couple other people, you know, and went to the NIT that year. Actually had that I'm going to tell you something. I'm not tooting Josh Pastner horn. I'm just reminding people. The second game out the gate was against number 1 Kansas.
Yes, it was.
And we were Elliott Williams 3-point basket from going in from beating the number 1 nation.
I'm glad you brought up Elliott Williams because if it wasn't for that transfer, that team would have been, because Because Elliott Williams, he was. I'm not saying he was like Jeremiah Martin was to the Tubby teams, but it was close. I mean, he was really important for those teams.
Well, yeah, he was important. I mean, he. I'm not gonna say he should have been in Memphis anyway.
Yeah.
But I don't understand why John Calipari wasn't recruiting him, or was he recruiting him and he just went to Duke? Because I think Elliott Williams went to Duke his freshman year, which was John Calipari's last year.
Mm-hmm.
So John Calipari didn't get Elliott Williams, which is what I'm saying.
Yeah, you're right. That was Josh. That was all Josh. Yeah.
I mean, Elliott had already played 1 year, which means that was the year that John Calipari was here with Tyreek Evans and that group. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, that's our water under the bridge. I mean, it quickly deteriorated. And, we could talk about the losses. We can talk about all the transfers. But, now, Penny's not going to have to worry about all that transfer stuff.
No.
Because, that was a lack of respect. That's a respect issue, the perception issue. Everybody said, well, Tyreek Black had to go to Kansas to get to the NBA. Well, is Tyreek Black in the NBA now? I mean, he went to Kansas. Why is he playing? I mean, I don't think it was just that. I mean, when it comes to the NBA, you either can play or you can't. It's just that simple.
I agree.
Ian Clark got to the NBA going to Belmont.
Yeah.
So you ain't got to have a coach to get you to the NBA. I think that's it's kind of like a little misconception. I'm not saying that, because a lot of coaches follow the same, pedigree to stuff. So I don't know about all that. But anyway, Norvell, I mean, I'm not saying he should be on the hot seat. I mean, he's been recruiting some good players. I mean, we're putting players in the NFL now, but we're not winning bowl games and championships. So do we do this for the next 3 or 4 years, or what? I mean, that's the question.
I think those are some good points, Vincent. I got to let you go, man, because I'm going to get something in before I go.
Okay.
But I appreciate the call,
all right, well,
man.
listen, I just want to – I'm taking advantage of this week. I'm off work, so I probably won't be able to call you for a little while, close to Christmas. But after this week. Okay, but listen, God bless you. Have a good day.
You too, man. All right, that's Vincent, man. With a lot to say, but some good stuff there. And I'm curious what y'all think about that, too, with Norvell and Josh Pastner comparisons. I think the only thing, the reason I won't go that far yet is because Norvell hasn't been there long enough. Because, let's see, would this be year 4 for Norvell? And Josh seemed like he was here forever. So, I don't know. And I think, realistically, Norvell has done a good job in a lot of areas. But I don't think it's anything wrong. And this is why I say what I say about Norvell. Because anytime anybody brings up any level of criticism toward Mike Norvell, the homer, and I love Memphis, but the homers that don't listen to criticism will come out and say, well, you can't say that. Nobody's taking this team further than Mike Norvell. Do you know where the Tigers were before Mike Norvell? Well, first of all, they were pretty good because Fuente did a good job. Now, if you want to talk about before Fuente, then I understand. Norvell built on the foundation that Justin Fuente left him. And Norvell did a good job in certain aspects on improving on certain things. Now, Fuente was not the personality that Norvell is, as far as in the community and stuff like that. Fuente was a straight-up guy, a keep-it-real head coach, and I still feel coach for coach, Fuente was a better coach. And I know Bob will agree with me on this, but I think Justin Fuente was a better coach than Mike Norvell on the field, X's and O's. Now, everything else, Norvell is leaps and bounds. Recruiting, promoting the program, etc. So, hey, a couple comments here. Greg says, let's see. I don't think that's a fair comparison when it comes to Josh and Norvell. Kelly says the same thing. And I'll read a little bit more after this phone call.
Call from
Greg.
It is Mr. Greg on a Thursday. What's up, G?
What it do, Josh?
What's happening, man?
Man, it's all good in the hood. Man, it's all gravy with the Navy,
Oh,
but
Lord.
look, Josh.
Yeah.
Look, I'm gonna say this. All right, this is my reason that I say it's not a fair comparison between Josh Pastner and Coach Norvell. All right, Josh was just an extension of Coach Calipari. He was just an extension. He came from tutelage of Coach Cal.
Yeah.
So now he took over a program that he shouldn't have had to. It shouldn't have maintenance to it.
Yeah.
Should have been a lot of maintenance, right?
I agree. Yeah.
But by year 3, maybe 4, the problem started. Now, he held serve the first year, right?
Yeah, he
held serve. Second year, someone held serve, but it was still a disappointing year that second year. He regressed every year after that. Even with the great classes that he brought in, the recruits that he brought in, by year 4, the regression was in full bloom.
Yeah.
Full bloom.
Absolutely, that's true.
The mass exodus of players, they started, the players in the loss of respect, and then, it was sort of akin to what's going on with the Cowboys with our coach. The clapping and the constant, everything's great and everybody else is great, and all that stuff has started, just rubbing everybody the wrong way.
Greg,
and,
do you remember the flashcards, Greg?
Yes, I remember the flashcards. I still have nightmares about the flashcards, And so that's why I say it's not a fair comparison. Norvell hasn't regressed at all. Now, is he the greatest thing since sliced bread? No, he's not even the greatest thing since canned biscuits, But the thing about it is he hasn't regressed. You can't say that now. Does it seem like a sort of a plateau? Does sort of a plateau,
Yeah.
And the thing, the difference between, them retaining him and saying retaining a men's football coach is vastly different. It is well known that, a good coach is not going to stay here to play at Memphis football beyond most. I think the average is 3 years.
Yeah.
And then they're moving on. We're in Coach 4 with Coach Norvell. Now, I'll say this. It's just my on it. If he were to win the conference championship this year, he's gone.
Yeah. Now, look, here's the
he's
thing.
Gone.
Here's the thing to me, though, and I understand that thought, but where is the rumors? Because the past 2 years previous, rumors everywhere about Norvell. Everybody was talking about him.
Oh, yeah.
He was up there with
especially
Scott Frost.
Year 2.
Yeah, especially year 2. Which I think that was the first UCF Memphis championship game, if I'm not mistaken. Against UCF and all that. But all that being said, since then, since he took the Arkansas job, for whatever mysterious reason, floating around, and now he's still here. I understand people say, "Oh, he's going to leave." I think he would have if he could, but I feel like the buzz has died down for whatever reason. Maybe it's just me.
Well, I'm gonna tell you some info I got from a very prominent booster, or whatever you want to call it, not a booster, but a supporter of Memphis.
Okay.
Is that there were 2 reasons that the SEC talk or Arkansas talk cooled off. Was because of his way of coaching as far as defense. SEC ain't going for nobody scoring 40 points on you.
Okay.
The SEC ain't going for it. Remember, coach, his thing was we have to score 40.
Yeah.
As long as we score 40.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's what they were doing.
SEC ain't going for that. And another thing, one of the things that cooled off too is because the word I got was he felt a little bit because he wasn't the first choice, second choice, or the third choice. For that job.
Okay.
Once you fall to the 4th and 5th choice, you're like, dang, man. What am I?
Yeah.
I thought I was steak, but y'all saying, I'm some Vienna sausages.
I get that.
So that was kind of the reason that I heard, that kind of cooled off. And then, year 3, last year, he still was content with giving up 40, 50 points.
Yeah, absolutely.
He still was contented. Now, this year it doesn't seem to be that way. This year it doesn't seem to be he with giving up that amount of points.
So it sounds like you're intimating that the reason he's done that is because of his future job that he wants to get potentially? That he feels he has to do this?
It's possible. I mean, it's possible. I mean, everybody has to face the facts. This is not a long coaching job.
No,
and the reason I say that is simply because of the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
There's not too many coaches without that aspiration of getting to the playoffs and possibly playing for the national championship. And you just can't do that in the AAC. You just have no reasonable chance. Look what happened in UCF.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, you just don't. You don't have a reasonable chance. And there ain't no coach that's worth his salt that doesn't have that aspiration. I mean, unfortunately, that's just the way it is, you know?
That's true.
So
now, let me...
go ahead, Josh.
But just to switch gears here for me, I know I only got a couple minutes. But what did you think about the whole LeBron China thing? No, I didn't get too much into that,
Man,
but yeah.
I'm on the fence about it. You know, I'm on the fence. You know, and just as Vincent said, sometimes, you know, hey, stay in your place. You know, know your role because, you know, you're not in a position to affect the financial by the moves that you make, but your mouth moves can affect the financial. So, you know. Yeah. But at the same time, you know, LeBron made it come out and say, hey, everybody else stupid but me. You know, y'all don't know nothing about nothing. Hey, just hush, shut up and dribble, you know, or whatever, you know. Exactly. And that's the way it kind of seems. It kind of belittles everybody's thoughts, you know, that they can't have individual thoughts when it comes to certain things like that, you know. So I'm kind of frustrated. I see it on both ways, you know. But but by LeBron saying what he said, it does to me kind of tarnish, you know, anything he can say in the future about anything, especially that goes on here.
And see, that was my only thing. I understood LeBron what he meant, and especially with Daryl Morey, I think he was kind of looking at, man, look, you're general manager of the Houston Rockets. I mean, Yao Ming, all this stuff, and then we're in China. I mean, LeBron and them, they were there while he's saying this stuff, so I think that's kind of what he meant. But still, as outspoken as LeBron is on everything else, it doesn't look great when it just so happens to be a country that LeBron has business interest in as well. Right. And it kind of looks like you're saying, hey, I'll speak out for social justice in America where it's making me money. You know. Right. Yeah. So. Yeah, but,
it's like as long as it ain't if it ain't affecting my money, yeah, it sucks. But exactly. If it's affecting my money, hold on. Know your role. Pump the brake.
And that's what it looks like. I can't lie. But hey, it is what it is, man. But Greg, man, I appreciate the call, brother.
Okay. All right, man. See you later, Josh.
Yes, sir. All right, that's Greg, man. That's going to be the last call I can take this afternoon, man. I appreciate all of y'all's thoughts and comments. Let me read Francis' comment here. Sorry, I cannot pronounce your last name, but Francis says, this is a very complicated situation. Best to not comment if you have no clue on the full situation. I think LeBron put himself in a tight corner because of him saying earlier that I will not shut up and dribble. Exactly. It was almost the exact same thing that Greg just said there. And which is henceforth why I put the LeBron tweet up there about injustice and the basically the MLK quote during the MLK 50 that time. So we'll see, man. It is a tough situation, but that's going to do it for me today here on TalkBack Live Sports. It's been another great week. I appreciate all of y'all for tuning in, for watching, for listening on the Spreaker app. In case you wonder, what is Spreaker? Is you saying speaker or Spreaker? No, I'm saying Spreaker with an R. Spreaker. Y'all download that app if you want to listen to podcasts of this episode and every other show on our TalkBack Live network. Just go there, download Spreaker, and search TalkBack Live. One word, as you see in the corner in the blue with the blue crown, TalkBack Live. And search that, and you'll find all our shows. When you get there, you will see a yellow star. Click that yellow star, and you will get a notification every time one of our shows goes live. So definitely do that, and we will be much appreciative. Also, the podcast of this and all of our episodes will be up on Spreaker as well as Spotify Google Podcasts, and the iHeart Radio app as well. So we're everywhere you can listen. All right, guys, I appreciate y'all for listening, and that's going to do it for me. I will talk to you guys next time I'm on.
If you're looking for some of the best old-fashioned burgers and cakes in town, Lotta Burger is the place to go for all of your favorites. Lotta Burger, 2260 South 3rd, Memphis, Tennessee, 901-946-2001. They're open Monday through Saturday from 10 a.m. to 6:45 p.m. And the items on their menu include single, double, triple burgers, Philly sandwiches, smoked sausages, beef hot dogs, grilled cheese, tenders, fries, onion rings, and more. Call-in orders must be done before 11 a.m. No calls accepted after 11 a.m. Drive-thru is available. Hungry for a burger? Lotta Burger, 2260 South 3rd, Memphis, Tennessee, 901-946-2001. Don't just settle for any burger. Get a Lotta Burger.
Are you tired of going to the doctor with the same issue over and over again and never getting any relief? Are you tired of buying all types of vitamins and supplements, hoping but not knowing for sure that they will keep you healthy? Or are you getting enough of the right kind of nutrients that your specific body needs? If you answered yes to any of these questions, you need a nutritional blood analysis. With a nutritional blood analysis, we can take one drop of blood from a prick of your finger and analyze your body's nutritional needs, nutritional deficiencies, and nutritional imbalances. This analysis can provide an early warning of possible future health challenges so you can make the changes now to avoid the negative outcome. A nutritional blood analysis can be used to monitor a health challenge before and after adopting an approach to restore health and balance. It will also allow you the ability to determine the effectiveness of various approaches to restoring and balancing your health. So don't wait. Make your appointment. Stop guessing with your health. Know what works for sure. 901-602-7063.
Big Graphics Printing, located at 890 East Range Road in Memphis, a complete print shop for all your printing needs. They do it all. Color copy, resumes, funeral programs, rubber stamp, full color business cards, wedding and graduation invitations, and more. 30 plus years of quality work and service. They're open Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. Located at 890 East Range Road in Memphis, Tennessee, 901-345-9294. Big Graphics Printing.
CJU Appliances, located at 3530 Jackson Avenue here in Memphis, Tennessee. Call them at 901-487-7882. CJU Appliances has the best prices in